Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is the Pull-Up Experience, guys. Episode 48, and we have the Wilsons with us tonight. And they are the owners of Brick House Realty. And they're going to teach us everything you know about being an agent, having your own brokerage, working together as husband and wife. You know, these are all the dynamics that we as entrepreneurs need to understand a little bit more about. So, without further ado, you guys introduce yourselves tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Wilson. I'm the broker and co-owner at Brick House Realty. We're a full-service brokerage right here in Cleveland, Ohio, working with buyers, sellers, investors, and also taking on more real estate agents.
I'm Mark Wilson. I'm pretty much the brains of the operation. Brains and the beauty.
Now, I want you guys to short-change that because you guys, there's only so many black brokers in Cleveland. You guys are one of them. And I want to give you guys your flowers because I know for me, when I became an agent, I really said to myself, no shame to Keller Williams or Howard Hand, nothing like that. But I said I want to be with brokers with people who like me. That's the honest truth. So once again, I want to give you guys your flowers now. Because I ain't gonna lie, Julius, you got to me before they did. I was about to go with them. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Julius and Dream Team Realty and whatnot. But once again, what made you guys want to compete with the Howard Handlers, with the Keller Williams and the other world?
Well, first, let me just say I appreciate the fact that you wanted to be at a brokerage that with people or a broker that kind of looked like you. Mm-hmm. I think that agents in the black community who are black really have a hard time understanding the significance and importance of that.
It makes all the difference.
A lot of times I think they're struck by this big brand and feeling like that they need this big brand in order to sell real estate, and that's really not the case.
Absolutely.
And so it's important because when we look in other markets like Atlanta, there are many larger black real estate brokerages there that are successful, but it really is going to take for black agents to start looking at those other options. And kind of to your point of the question that you're asking, is part of the reason why we started a brokerage. So I started out at a larger brokerage, but part of that reason was there wasn't any modern day black owned brokerages that I wanted to be a part of. So I started with a larger brand, never with the idea of staying there full time. Knew that we were going to open up our brokerage, but what I will say is when we finally opened up the brokerage, it's been about 8 years now. It's really because of him. He kind of like pushed and said, no, the time is now and let's do this. Just for a combination of reasons. We did a lot of property management at the time. He does construction. We have a construction company as well. And so we worked together on a daily basis, and it got to a point where in our business where it really made sense for us to kind of go off and do our own thing. Just because of the investor clients that we were working with before, it was kind of like, broker, can we do this or do that? And so it just became a point where we really needed to do our own thing. Would you say that's how it all?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm glad that you saw it that way, that you wanted to work somewhere where you have people that look like you. It's sad because in our community, it's like that with a lot of things. We've been taught this, and it's a bad slave trait that we've handed down, and for some reason we think white ice is colder. And
I like that.
And they get struck by that, and it's kind of like, we've reached out and put a hand out for so long that we can't get rid of that handout mentality. So we think if we go to a larger, I'll say a white brokerage, then the white guys are going to take care of us. They're going to lead us to the promised land type of thing. And it's, from being in real estate, nobody's going to give you anything. So you got to work every day. You got to put in the work. So it don't matter if you're at the bigger brokerage or you at the, black brokerage or whatever. You still got to put in the work. So it's just one of those things. We have to rid ourselves of that mentality and thinking that, the white man is going to lead us to the promised land, or he's going to show us the way and that type of thing. And we also have to recognize when we have people that are doing good business. It's a lot of black businesses out here. We know that don't do good business, customer service is horrible, things like that. And I'm ashamed of our people because we have a bad experience and we run to Facebook and say, don't shop there because they didn't put my ketchup on there. Or, you know. But how many times you went to McDonald's and it was burnt or it was this, but I never see the poster saying, don't shop at McDonald's or don't shop at this. But we sit here and we praise on social media how great Chick-fil-A's customer service is. But we don't praise when we get great Black customer service. And you know, so it really was just, like she said, I said it was time, you know, I've always been an entrepreneur, you know, several different businesses, and it was just something that I felt that we needed. Not only we needed within our family and our business, I felt that our community needed it.
No, absolutely.
I just want to add one more point to that, and from my experience with being with that larger brokerage, when I would see my counterparts doing big business and big deals, and I would go to those agents in the business who I thought were successful, and like, well, how did you grow your business? I'm not seeing that same type of success in my business. What did you do? And even going to the team leader or broker at that time and saying like, hey, you know, I'm having troubles growing my business. What can I do? And basically the response that I would get would, do more cold calling, do more. And so what it taught me this in hindsight, and this is one of the main reasons why it's so important. And you're a newer agent, so kudos to you, because I watch what you do. And one of the things that you even talk about is that financial literacy piece of it and credit. Let me tell you why that's so important within the Black community and the primary clients that you service. Because when I went to my broker team leader at the time and was asking for a suggestion, never once did they say you need to really understand financial literacy and credit repair. Because the people that you are, the Black community as a whole, we're suffering. We are starting from behind. First of all, we have to work so much harder to get our clients to the closing table. So we first have to educate them on why they should be owning real estate, right? Because many of them believe that they don't need to, or they are used to that generational renter, that generational wealth, and not understanding. So first we have to deal with that. Then we have to deal with the credit challenges on there, right? So we have to help them become mortgage ready through that process. And then also they don't have savings. So we have to find down payment programs or helping them create a budget to be able to even get to the closing table. So when I was going to my broker and team leader, they didn't understand the population that I was representing. So when I was going to them asking for how to grow my business, they were giving me bad information. Good information for their counterparts, but not for the Black community. So when I'm saying that, oh, my people aren't buying from me, it's not directly because they didn't want to, it was because they couldn't. And my team leader, my manager, my mentor was not giving me the information. So if you're with a Black brokerage, I understand that.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. No, listen. I want to just pick up where she said, because I know for me, when I brought my house, my real estate agent, one of the things that stood out to me and made me want to be a different agent altogether is that when I brought my house, unfortunately, no one in my family or my ex-wife's family knew that how to buy a house. So we didn't know. We were kind of, not saying we were, I will give praise to our real estate agent. He tried his best, but he wasn't educating us. He wouldn't help us get in the mind. So we said we wanted a house, and that was it. And it wasn't, and I felt like it was more so transactional relationship than it was an actual personal relationship. And I know for me, I know all my clients, I'm helping you from the beginning to the end and beyond. And that's how you build relationships as a whole. So, and so a couple things, because I love that y'all here, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all. By the way, thank you guys. Today we have Coach Ari with us tonight. Marquita's still Ray Charles out here getting surgery, but she'll be back.
You're not gonna talk about like that.
my bad. She'll be back, and the kid's not here with us, but we do have Coach Ari here with us tonight. So thank you, by the way, Coach Ari.
Of course, I'm gonna interrupt you before your question though. So he keeps throwing out certain like terms like real estate agent and like a broker. So for those that are not into real estate, can you kind of explain what the difference between the two are?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want
You
I feel like I just been going at it or whatever. But so basically, in order to be a real estate agent, now let me just say this: in certain states, I don't know where you're watching. In certain states, all real estate agents are actually brokers. But here in the state of Ohio, in order to if you're a real estate agent, you have to work under a real estate brokerage. You can't just step out day one and say, oh, I want to own a real estate brokerage. You have to work under a real estate brokerage. So the broker is the managing, the manager of the agency, and that is overseeing all of the agents within the brokerage and making sure everything is in compliance. So that broker, in order to become one, you have to have additional licensing, training, and experience in the business.
Shout out to y'all.
So, and they're really taking on a lot more liability, because when the agent does something wrong, it's not just the agent, it's the broker that could potentially lose their license as well. So it's important that you have a broker that you respect and have open and good communication with, because they a lot of times are your first line of communication when the deal goes wrong, you need help. And in some brokerages, it's hard to pick up the phone and talk to your broker. They're just not that open for you. So if you're becoming an agent, you want to make sure that you can have a good relationship with your broker.
No, listen,
That's major.
no, it really is, because I want to say, I thought I was going to get sued about a couple of times because I did not know what I was doing. So she's absolutely right. It makes all the difference, guys. It makes a difference with training to, once again, knowing about contracts, because when you, no offense to the schools, but they teach you the laws and the finance and the
How to pass the test.
How to pass the test, right? But when you
about a contract.
Exactly, not about a contract. So it's a big difference when you actually get out there in the field and have to do it for yourself. They don't teach you how to market. They don't teach you how to grow a clientele. They just, hey, these are the things you need to pass the test, and that's about it. So it makes all the difference in having the right brokerage to partner with to help you in the aspects and whatnot. So I want to touch on, you guys are a married couple doing your thing, you know what I'm saying? So how the dynamic with you guys in business and having this, building these empires, how does that work for you guys?
So I'm his boss. So we always kind of joke about that or whatever, because in certain instances, depending on how or what capacity we're dealing with the client, I'm like, I'm your boss, because we do property management as well too. So a lot of times, so we have a construction company.
You got to own company, that's what I'm talking about.
So a lot of times I'm like, where are you with this? Where are you doing that? And I absolutely get on his nerves. And so, I mean, what can you say?
It's a great team though. Like I'll say, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. Like, we talk to different couples, and sometimes they can't wait to leave home and get that time apart. Unfortunately, we work together all day. We may not see each other all day,
right,
but we work together all day. So it has to be somebody that you have a tight relationship with. I know everybody who are married, unfortunately, they're not friends. They might be in a marriage, but they're not friends. Yeah. So this is my absolute best friend in the world. So that makes a big difference. So it's not for everybody. People say all the time, like, man, y'all work together. I couldn't do that with my wife and my husband. But like I said, I think if we weren't best friends, that would be a big difference too.
Right.
But this is my best friend. It's crazy. Like, we leave the house sometimes, or depending. Sometimes I leave early, she leave earlier than me, whatever, depending on what we do with the kids or whatever, seeing them off. But it's crazy because we're always crunching. We might be up at 4 a.m. She on the computer, I'm doing this type of thing. But it's crazy because we might not say anything other than good morning to each other. And then as soon as one leaves, then we call each other. So it's like we're already working. We already but it's definitely the personal relationship that we have that's a blessing within the business or whatever, because like she mentioned, we own multiple businesses, not just the real estate brokerage. So without the friendship, I don't think it would be as asking me and as it is for us. But
and respect, you have to have respect for one another, because there's a certain tone and language that you want to speak to each other on a daily basis, or you would absolutely drive each other crazy.
So I got another question. Okay, so I know I get this. I'm pretty sure you gotta get the question all the time, but I know I get it all the time. People talk about the Cleveland market all the time. They say how our market is a little bit different from the New Yorks, the Californians, or the down south or whatnot. So what are one of the things you guys see in the Cleveland market, and then for the future of the overall real estate market? Because I know everyone's telling recession, how our house going to be cheap like it was back in 08, 09. I keep on telling them, like, I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm not, But I know you guys get that question all the time. So what do you guys see the Cleveland real estate market looking like currently and in the future?
So I definitely don't think it's gonna be like '08. It's people are just waiting for that crash again, and in my opinion, it's not gonna happen. And I'm not gonna say my opinion from research and different lenders and other professionals in the business. It's not gonna happen like '08. There is a pattern though of a 20-year cycle that does happen as far as the crash. So if you look at it, come 2028, we might be due for another one, and it may not be exactly 20 years, but it happens every 20 years. The thing to tap on what you mentioned earlier and stem off of that, when we first started our brokerage, it was kind of disgusting. It was a blessing for us, but it was kind of disgusting to us also. We, just like one of our early clients, she got a random email in the middle of the night. She woke up in the morning, read it to me, and she was like, this got to be fake. So we got these clients from France, but they actually live in China. So they sent a random email based on a relationship with another client that we had. And they said, hey, you know, we want to look into investing in Cleveland real estate. We got a friend that recommended you, and, you know, they said this is what we should do. And we got $2 million we want to invest in the Cleveland market. So, you know, like early on starting the company, and she like, this must be fake. I'm like, well, they named the real person that we deal with. So,
right.
you know, never meeting these people, nothing from there. They just sent another email, said we coming to town. We linked up, and we went and just met these people. So totally legit, and it kind of opened our eyes to a different aspect of the business as well, and just financial literacy. So we learned that wealthy people do things very different than our community and what we used to. So the reason they wanted to buy this $2 million in real estate portfolio was not because they wanted to invest in real estate. It had nothing to do with real estate at all. They had twin daughters that were juniors in high school, and they were getting ready to go to college, you know, a year and a half later. So they wanted them to pick the college that they go to, and they said, we're building this portfolio to pay for their college. But unlike us traditionally here, they got to choose the school, but they said they can go to any school in the world. So not in the United States or where they live at, any school in the world. One of them picked I want to say Berkeley or something in California, and the other one went to a different country. I want to say Italy or something. So what they did is, and that's where it taught us at the same time that wealthy people preserve their money. So instead, they had the money to pay for college, but instead of saying, hey, we're going to pay $500,000 or $1 million or whatever the cost may be for them to send them to college, they say we're going to build this portfolio, let the portfolio send them to college, and we didn't spend $1. And then they bought these properties many years ago. So now, you know what the market is doing, they tripled their money off the property. So they made all of this rent to pay for college. They continue to make this rent, and then they still own the properties to this day, but they have tripled that, you know, value as far as where they purchased them at. So that kind of gave us an insight, and you know, we went to Vegas, and I went to lunch, and she asked me a question, and she said, what was the question? I can't even think of it now. Oh, how do you view success? And I said, I determine success and view success on how many people you're able to help. So it has nothing to do with me, you know, it's how many people you're able to help. So she was like, wow, that kind of took me back and blew me back a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But we came back refreshed with a new mindset, and we just started doing seminars, just trying to educate our people, because it was a little disgusting. I'm very appreciative for the client spending all this money, but it was a little disgusting because this was our real estate in our backyard. And we got people who, this was their first time ever coming to the United States just to make these purchases. And we got people we have other clients from other countries that have never set foot in the United States. So they come here, they buy up this real estate in our backyard, and we should be buying that real estate. So we should be educating our people. We should be buying that real estate, and that's something that we just set out to do. So from that point on, it was about educating our people, like you say, as far as the buyer, you know, through the whole deal and beyond. So like, we encourage our buyers, like, okay, you got your first home, but when are we sitting down to get your first income property at that point? So, you know, so we continue that, but it's about the education through the whole transaction. And, you know, that's just what we set out to do at that point. But the other flip side that I really didn't like about that, that's why I kind of used the word disgusting. Some of these investors wanted to determine how our people should live. So when it was up to bringing the property up to par for us to manage it, you know, we told them, no, we won't rent it to somebody like that. We won't, when they said, no, that kitchen is fine, kitchen falling apart, this and that. No, we won't rent it to our people like that. So you want to be the owner, you want us to manage it, but we won't partake and participate in having our people live however you think we should live. But you got to look at it. It might have been an $800 rent. So to them, it was $800. Well, to some of our people, that's grand for them. They might be moving up from $600 to $800, so they want something nicer where they're coming from. So, you know, it was more like we got to educate our investors, and we're trying to educate our people at the same time. But that's where the education part really came from, and we became dedicated to that because, like I said, it just hurt us to watch all of these foreign investors tap into, and the market was so sweet at the time, tap into all this real estate, and our people sit there twiddling thumbs and still renting, not buying, still renting. And we have an awful curse of when a lot of people can't do something, they talk down on it. So as she mentioned earlier, we have a bad history of people renting, and you mentioned you're the first homeowner in your family. We have a bad habit of, renting, and then we talk down on something because we unfamiliar or we can't do it. So because we don't really see home ownership in our future, then we talk down on it. And it's, y'all are renting out to buy that home, but you got to do the upkeep on it. You don't need a roof, you don't need it. I just keep doing it. But that's because you haven't been educated on the pluses of owning the property. So we teach everything from owning the property. And back in the day, in the 50s and all of that, when banks wouldn't give our ancestors loans and things like that, they opened businesses off owning real estate. So they owned the property, it was paid for, they would take out an equity line of credit from a private lender because the banks weren't giving out the money, and then they would go open a grocery store, a laundry cleaner, things like that, and then they just paid it back. But that's how a lot of our people started businesses. And if you talk to anybody, most people would like to be entrepreneurs. You see that too. People say, entrepreneurship, ain't nothing wrong with my 9 to 5. That's that scare tactic. Like, there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. I say that off top. But in this day and age, especially with the rents going up, the inflation, you need more than one source of income. Want more than one stream of income. So that's where we just kind of developed that and became, this educational piece as far as real estate, as far as really educating our people. And I think it's nothing better than to be a Black-owned brokerage with Black agents educating our people, because at those other places, they're not educating our people. Like you mentioned, they use you as a commission check and then they go. So it's more about us educating our people, like you say, from start to finish and beyond in that deal.
So, sorry, Lynn.
No, I was just gonna add one other thing. When you kind of mentioned about the different markets and comparing Cleveland to the other markets.
Sorry, I got off.
That was good. That was good.
Quickly, just what I wanted to comment on that is Cleveland is a different market than your Atlantas, your New Yorks, and different places like that. And so it's important for all parties to understand that. It's important for real estate to understand the market that they're dealing with as well, because in order for us to, if we're a real estate agent, to make the type of commissions that you see an agent in Florida or New York, we have to close double the amount of transactions. So that's number one that you have to be prepared for as a real estate agent. Do you have the infrastructure set up to do that many deals and transactions? So you have to think about ways that you can scale your business as an agent. Now, as a homeowner, this is like a first time home buyer market, right? Right now the market is great because the market is up everywhere. Values are up everywhere. We haven't seen it like this in forever, right? But it is important to really understand that this is a first time home buyers market that we're dealing with, unless you're dealing with more West Side, but not too many of my agents or Black community doesn't live West Side of town. We're not living in Westlake and Avon and Strongsville in large numbers. So you have to understand that even on East Side of town, values are much lower than what we're seeing on West Side. Where Cleveland is a great market is under the investor umbrella of it, right? Because it's still affordable. Even with values being up across the country, the Cleveland market and just that Midwest area itself, the values are so much lower. It's still affordable for you to purchase a property, put a little bit of renovation in it, and rent it out because rents are so high. So anyone that's really buying, especially if you're in the Black community, you should be looking at, even if it's your first purchase, you should be looking at as a business move, business opportunity. That first property is your entryway into owning your first rental property and scaling up from there.
I wish I knew that when I first brought my house. Why not? But you live and you learn. You learn. And I was, as an agent, I was presented that as agent. Once again, that made me think as an agent. I want to present to my clients that idea. When you're purchasing home, think about it as an investment, then more than just your first home that you're gonna have your family in. Because kids get older, you get older. You gotta think about what you're gonna do next after that and whatnot. So I think you bring a great point with that also.
And the way I kind of present it, like how you mentioned, I kind of ask people like, what type of house would you ideally like to live in? Not what can you afford, what would you like to live in? So you might say, well, I want to live in a $500,000 house. Okay, you might not qualify credit-wise or income-wise right now, but let's figure out how to get that $500,000 house. So now we you know, you might have got approved for $200,000. Okay, well, let's not look at it that way. Let's use that $200,000 to buy a 4-suiter. So now you buy a 4-suiter, which becomes an income property, and then now I use the income off of that to purchase another 4-suiter, and basically create the assets to pay for the liability. So we can show you how to use that same $200,000 pre-approval, get your real estate portfolio going, and then guess what? Now you got a $500,000 house that you really wanted.
That's good right there. I'm trying to encourage her to get her first expensive property.
You just had to put me in this.
I
You had to put me in this.
Cool.
You got to. You got to.
I don't disagree. It's not
to.
that. It's not that.
So,
But kind of even going along with that, in the education piece, what are some common misconceptions you feel like the black community has in terms of real estate?
20%. 20% down. That's the biggest misconception.
You know what? Yeah, no, you're right.
20% down. They think they got to come up with this enormous down payment to get in real estate, when the truth is you might be able to get into it with $0 down. And when I say zero, I always clarify that for people. I say, no, have your inspection money ready, your appraisal money ready. But
You're gonna need some.
Yeah, you gotta have
some
something.
money, but
the biggest misconception, I think, is 20% down. That scares a lot of people because we all see the statistics out there as far as the savings and how much our net worth is versus the other communities. And, you know, $20,000 is like, you know, unimaginable for a lot of people. I have a person that I deal with as far as like in the industry, and I was like shocked the other day, not the other day, like a couple months back. They came and asked me like, what do it feel like to have 10,000 at once? And that kind of blew my mind. Like, you know, that's not an unimaginable number.
Right.
But for so many of our people, it is unimaginable. And, you know, I think
that's
that's,
like saying a million.
yeah, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions in our community.
And I would think if we're talking about like owning investment properties, people are so scared of having tenants in there and they're tearing up your property, or what if they don't pay the rent? And so I guess, first of all, I feel like you're thinking on such a small scale, right? And to put it in perspective, some of my clients that I work with have not, first of all, do not speak English, have never stepped foot on U.S. soil,
Brought unseen.
bought the property right unseen, and they just literally went on the internet, said, I want to invest in here, what it feels like on the map, and look up, find an agent in that area and do a deal. So I may have a client that lives in Israel who we communicate through email because they don't speak English. If they can make it through that and then invest in real estate, you can invest in real estate in your own backyard and figure out a way, because they're not, you know, changing toilets. They're not talking to the tenant. They hire a property manager. You hire someone that has the experience to do the things that need to be done. Things are going to happen, but that's in any business. But it doesn't even matter. I have clients, they've never even seen the condition of the property. They would cringe when some tenants move out in the condition, not even move out, while they live there. They would cringe at the way that some of these tenants are living in their property. But at the end of the day, it's a business for them. And that's how you have to think about it. It's just a business. We clean it up, you know, everything can be pretty much fixed. I don't think I've ran into a situation yet that you can't fix, right? You may have to throw a little money at it. You don't like it. It may not feel good when you're going through it, but you get over it. It's a business. And so what happens as you start to build out that portfolio, the portfolio starts to absorb. If this one is lacking over here, the portfolio will begin to absorb the shortfall that's happening over here. But you have to build out that portfolio, and you can't be scared.
That's good.
So let me ask you this, okay? So we're investing more right now. So if I am a person with a, let's say 650 credit score, I have my 2 years worth of tax returns, and I have a 9 to 5, but I want to get in real estate investing. How would I go about doing that? How would I go reach out to you guys and get started with my quote unquote start my real estate portfolio?
So the way most people get started, or should really get started, is using either like that FHA loan product to get you to use it. The beautiful thing about an FHA loan product is that it's only 3.5% down. You can have, they say 580 credit score if you look at the information on it. It's really, you really need about a 620. I'm sorry. If you want down payment assistance, you really need to be closer to a 650 credit score. But that's really the best way to get started. You can go conventional. There is a 3% down first time home buyer product within a conventional loan. It just has a higher credit score requirement attached to that and some caps on income limits as well. But really you should use that FHA or that first time purchase as buying your investment property. Anything residential, 4 units or less is residential. You buy that. The requirement or the expectation is that you own it and live in it for at least 1 year. After that year, you don't sell it. You hold on to that and you use a conventional loan to make that next purchase on there. And then you kind of move up from there. The other thing that we see, a big mistake that happens all the time within the community, is that when grandma dies, people are selling off the property to make cash today, 5, 20, you know, maybe you even got $30,000 by the time you split it up amongst the family, and they're selling that property and not holding on to that. We have to get away from doing that and understand the importance of creating generational wealth and leaving a legacy for our family members.
Absolutely.
No, that's good.
No, you pretty much touched everything. But I'm big on that piece there. That bothers me a lot because we get that call all the time. My grandma died, she left me this house, and this is that. The house they may want to put it on the market for $100,000. But they're looking at this one cash day, $100,000. They're looking at the big ticket right now, where I would tell you, take out a line of equity, a credit equity, line of credit on equity, and pull out $70,000. You still get the cash. It's not quite 100, but I get $70,000 from the bank. I might have a $500 note. I put somebody in there for $1,000 a month. Let them pay back the $500 and give me $500 more monthly. I still own the house. You're all gonna pay the loan back off. And I had that to pass on to my kids and their kids and that type of thing. So you do it for a cash buck today. When the way I'm explaining, you still can get the cash, and it'll keep reproducing that cash over and over and over instead of a one-time payday.
And when you ask, people really don't have a reason. What are you going to do with that money, right? So if you get the cash, what are you going to do with it other than just blow it, right? And people really don't have a plan for the money. They just want it, just the idea of having, cash today in hand, because a lot of times you still didn't pay off any debt that you had. You're not
dissing yourself at all. That's great.
You didn't pay off your debt, your credit score didn't raise, you still
And even anytime you have any type of influx of large cash like that, we're going through like income tax season kind of right now. People are starting to get back their returns. The one thing that you can do easily would be at least taking a portion of that money and moving into something that will help produce more money for you. So, getting some kind of trade certificate, starting a business, so that way you had a way to produce more money from it.
That's great. So I got a question. So I am a person who wants to become an agent, right? How would I go about becoming an agent with Brick House Realty and whatnot? What steps do they take, and what does that look like?
Well, the first thing you want to do is really understand what a real estate agent does, and that you are committed to becoming an agent. I think a lot of times people are fascinated with the idea of what they think a real estate agent does. So we watch HGTV, people are showing beautiful houses, it's a glamorous lifestyle.
Selling sunset.
Yeah, selling sunset.
Yes. And you see all of this flexible schedule. And so you didn't really commit to what real estate agents do, right? So you have to make that commitment. So if you say, I want to be a real estate agent, then you have to commit to the full process. It's not, I want to do this and not do that. One of the biggest things for real estate agents is being present on social media, being okay with doing videos, going out networking and meeting people. So you have to understand what it takes. the amount of study time, the amount of the time period. It says on average it takes an agent 2 to 3 years to really convert and start seeing the benefits of being an agent. So are you prepared for this long haul of 2 to 3 years before you really get to see the benefit of it? So if you make it past that part and say, yep, I still want to do this. Oh, and you have to be really good with people, right? Because this is a customer service, counseling type of
psychiatrist.
Business. Like, you deal with a lot of people and you have to be able to kind of keep it together. And paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. I have worked with a lot of agents, and for some the paperwork is too overwhelming. Like keeping it all organized.
Yeah.
So if you say you still want to move forward with that, you have to take the pre-licensing classes. We do offer the classes. Our classes is $999. You have a payment plan option. So the state requires 120 classroom hours, as you know, and you have to commit to that studying process. It's not an easy test. A lot of people struggle with it and make 3 to 4 attempts at passing the test. And the state has no problem taking
your money.
As many times as you want to go back. They will accept that 81. They don't even discount it because the test is done in 2 parts. You still pay the same full amount. After that, in order to sit for the test, you have to get with the broker, sign off on your application. They're your sponsoring broker to sit for the test. And then after you pass the test, you have to be prepared to pay our license fees or through our board. So you can expect to pay somewhere around $1,000 like immediately. After you. There's no like, oh, can I get 6 months? You have to pay that. So you have to have some savings, and you have to look at it like you're starting a business, because you're going to need signs, you're going to need business cards, you need all of these things when you first start out. So for many agents, they start out as part-time. There are some successful agents at doing it part-time. But I will say, to really see the full benefit, you need to be really a full-time agent and really be able to dive in. But you have to have that savings or that cash reserve to get through that period of time.
Absolutely. Because I still work 9 to 5, and I would say this: it's a process to take a break and get on the phone with a client like, hey, I'll call you right back. Give me about 15 minutes or whatnot. But at the same time, it teaches you how to balance. It teaches you how to, when you get off work, hey, I'm doing research. I'm looking up the price. I'm looking at these comps and whatnot. I'm looking up how to go about this and the other. So I mean, it's a
You're
balance.
committed to the process.
Exactly.
So for some people, that's too much, right? They didn't have that same type of, they didn't really want it as bad as they thought that they wanted. So you have to have this kind of hustler mentality to wanting to be in the business.
Absolutely. Julie's some of the statistics, I think, told me like in newer agents, I think in the first 3 years, I think it's like something ridiculous, like 65% of new agents, they quit after the first year or something like that.
80% quit the first year.
80%, wow. Yeah, that's a staggering.
So what happens, so our dues, so in order to be a realtor, which is really, if you're selling residential real estate, you have to be a realtor.
You have to be.
It's like, it's a trade organization, so you have to be a part of that. So our dues, we pay that every January. It's $650. So that's one part of it, and then we pay another fee that's broken into 2 to be access to the MLS, and we pay that in February. So what happens, without fail, what happens, there's agents that get into the business and they don't do anything all year long. They're not showing up for office meetings, they're not showing up doing the training, they're not making the calls, they're not networking. And then you get really close to December and they start to panic. And now you want to, what do I need to do? Where do I want to go? And so as the broker, what happens in January, any agent that has not paid their dues and still on my roster, they will shut the entire office down. So we have to send back their license if they have not paid their dues, and without fail, we're sending back license, and we don't want to do that.
Right, what you guys do.
But you have to be proactive about this. And this idea that you can't, you just get in this business and it's just supposed to come to you, it's not like that. Like, you don't know how much money we pay for like going to seminars and coaching, and even us, even being in the business, we pay, like when he was talking about a short time ago, talking about in Vegas, and I asked him the question, we went to a training that we paid to go to $1,000 a piece to go to this training out in Vegas to give additional information that we wanted to learn to be able to grow our business. And that's small scale, $1,000 a person. Like, we paid a lot more money than that just to get the training, to be in the rooms.
Right.
And you really have to understand that once you get your license, you should still be going through that education piece
that's
of
good.
it.
No, that's good. And I like how you guys said that. You know what I'm saying? I think people think about coming in, when they see these HGTVs, Sun and Sunset, all these shows that glamorize being a real estate agent, but like, it's a real grind. It's not something you just, and like, I know Drew says to me all the time, he said, people don't know what you're doing, how do you expect the clients to come your way or whatnot? So every time I'm at work, I'm like, hey, you know what's up real estate? Hey, you know what's up real estate? Like, it's funny, me and her, we had a network ring the other day, and she challenged me, said, you got a network ring. It's funny, you guys, we were there, and we were talking about how, 5 new people, you know what I'm saying? That's a good, at least 5 new people, right? And I took that whole mindset, and like, I do that every day, no matter where I'm at, a grocery store, wherever I'm at. Hey, you said house? Hey, by the way, I'm a real estate agent and whatnot. And I think that a lot of people forget that. I know it's something that can be overlooked in the daily grind of everything, but no, I mean, and once again, I want to thank you, because once again, you guys had that dope Black Professionals real estate event, by the way, or whatnot. What prompt you guys to do something like that?
Well, the biggest thing with it is, so right now, especially now, it's so important because the housing market is crazy. We have limited inventory on the market. So one of the areas that we tend to sell in, to give an example of this, is like that Macedonia Twinsburg area, right? Well, if we're literally writing offers $50,000 over asking. We'll cover the appraisal gap in there. We'll cover the seller's closing costs and the.
I apologize because Keita's not here, but I used to say you. Shout out to you, Keita, but she's not here. You gotta explain what it means to go over asking price, because some people might see it, especially her. She is gonna get me. But let's break that down for us. Asking over asking price, because some people might not know what that means.
Oh, absolutely. So.
This is Keita.
So a house may be listed for $200,000, $300,000. That's what the seller has agreed to put the house on the market for. We'll say $200,000. And so a buyer comes along, they really want this house. So with it being a competitive market, we're expecting multiple offers to come in on this particular property. So our client really wants the house, so they're willing to pay more than what the seller was offering it at. Well, unfortunately, other people have that same idea to do that same thing.
Exactly.
So we start adding in these additional incentives, like paying the seller's closing costs, or the price point over asking that we offer may be out of reach of what the appraised value is on the house, right? So what we then say is, when the appraisal is done, because anytime you're having a mortgage, unless you're paying cash, there's a mortgage on the house, the bank is going to do an appraisal of the property. So when the appraiser comes out, if the house was listed at 200, we offer 250. The appraiser says it's only worth 240, right? There's a $10,000 gap in there. So our client has then said, if the appraisal comes back short, we'll even cover that appraisal gap. So we went over $50,000. We said we would cover the appraisal gap of about $10,000, and we'll cover their closing costs. So anybody listening, you're like, well, I would have taken that deal, but our deals are still not being accepted, right?
Even at that.
When we go back and look at when the deal, so all of the properties are closed out in the MLS system, and when we go back to look at who sold the property on there, it was an inter-office transaction a lot of times, right? And usually agents within that same community. our offer was higher and better,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still not accepting these offers.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea behind having the Black Real Estate Professionals Networking Group is so that more Black agents can now connect.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what office you're at, so we can
Right.
start doing more business
Yeah,
together,
that's dope.
right? So
Mhm.
once we get to knowing each other,
Mm-hmm.
then it's easier to pick up the phone to have a conversation like, hey, I submitted this offer over
Yeah, that's
to you.
good.
And but let me explain to you about my client as
Mhm.
well, what's going on with that. So because that's what's happening in the marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
whether people want to admit it or not, or they're sellers picking. There's agents out there who are not playing fair or not playing by the
That's
rules,
Mhm.
and they are doing these transactions. And so if we can start coming together as Black professionals, and start doing more business together. And then lastly, too, we really think it's important to support Black owned businesses,
That's good.
and not when it's just convenient for us.
Mhm.
Come on.
A lot of times people say, oh, I want to support Black owned business, until it's time to support a Black owned
Yep.
business.
Right.
And so
Sounds good. What you know what I'm
it
saying?
sounds good, but then I pull up to a house and I see a Black family with an agent who's not Black. Like,
Mhm.
and don't get me wrong, I mean, I have clients from all different nationalities
Yeah.
or whatever, but that shouldn't be commonplace,
Right.
right? So we just really want people to understand that. Typically, the places that we're having these events are Black-owned establishments. We bring out different like vendors, and invite people out to the event to like connect, so you can know. So you don't have to do 100% of your business, but we should be doing a lot more business
Yeah.
within the Black community.
And then even to add to that, like we always, like people just think it's a real estate agent thing. So we
Mhm.
always promote, no, if you're a contractor, an electrician,
Yeah,
or
because I met some dope
investor,
people there. Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
it's it pretty much puts us, together so we can connect and meet each other, because same thing, you might have a Black real estate agent, but then they have a white inspector. They have a white electrician or a
Or
white
lender.
contractor or a white lender.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that everybody knows everybody. And it's really about, making relationships at that point. So, you may genuinely not know a Black home inspector.
Yeah.
So when you offer 3 to your client to choose from, I just know these 3 white companies or these 3 white
Right.
guys. But now I can add a Black guy to the pool. I can add 2 Black guys to the pool.
Yeah.
It's still up to you to choose, but I can add that to the pool. You sell a house and the owner asks you, hey, well, I need an electrician.
Exactly.
Well, I know a Black electrician. I can refer him at that point. So it's pretty much just, we hear about it all the time about the Jewish dollar is spent 7 times before it leaves the community.
Yeah.
Ours, it leaves immediately. It's not spent once within the Black
Right.
community. So we just kind of want to do our part to help create that as far as it being spent in our community. So you being a Black agent, you may have a Black client, you can recommend a Black home inspector, you can recommend a Black electrician, you can recommend a Black contractor, and so on and so on. So it's us helping feed each other, even though I may not be getting paid from your line of work, but it's us helping feed each other. And then throughout that, it's not a lot of people sometimes you can put your name on in certain arenas, but we want to make sure we know who's doing good business out here.
That's good.
So when I have this Black contractor that serviced my client and it went great, I know that I can turn them over to
Right.
another person, and I feel confident saying, John did a great job, or here's who I recommend for that, and so on and so on. So just pretty much let everybody meet, everybody from lenders to contractors to home inspectors to everybody in the real estate business.
That's good. Cover the whole, encompass of the whole
Yeah.
industry as a whole. No, that's dope. I love it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I wasn't doing this, I'm going to be the next one. So listen, I appreciate y'all.
June 18th.
June 18th? All right. We'll be there. Okay, so I got another question for you guys. So we talked about where you guys were in the past, where you guys are presently. Where's the future of Brick House Realty? What's next up for you guys?
We're just growing. We actually, our office, you probably know we were down the street from you. We actually moved to Beechwood.
Okay.
So that's where our new office is now located. So we are growing in agent size. We are growing in terms of helping our agents, kind of expand their business. So I have a team of agents, but really want to personally kind of scale away from doing the sales piece of it, because our goal is really to help develop our agents that are in office to help them get to the next level. I can't say we're taking on any more construction clients, but that piece of it, we don't even market or you know, you say construction, people are like, everyone's looking for a good construction company.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just looking to grow. We're going to offer, we see that gap of where agents or aspiring agents are having a hard time passing the real estate test. So that is another area that we're going to really dive into and offer classes to help people be able to, you know, get in there a lot quicker.
No, that's good stuff. 'Cause I know, so Julia's promoting me to recruiter for drinks and real estate. And I know the biggest thing when I'm talking to a person who wants to get into real estate, a couple things that prevents them is one, the courses, money, and then passing the test and whatnot. And I always explain to them, like we talked about off camera, about taking that time out to study for the test. I know for me it was difficult. It wasn't just something you can just one off and do it. When I know that's test every time you take, it's a different test every single time. It's not something you can lightly not prepare for. So I think what you guys are doing with that is a great service, and not only just the community as a whole, but to agents. Because I mean, like you said, the division real estate, they don't mind taking money. They'll take it every single time, and that's, you gotta pay for that test every single time. So I think you guys, that's a great service you guys gonna be having. So shout out to you guys. So okay, I'm all about to say I appreciate you guys coming out today, and appreciate you guys' time. I know you guys are busy. So I want to know, what are 3 things you want?
You just had to take the last question.
My bad, man.
You just had to take the last question.
Go
ahead. You know,
my bad.
I just had to point out the fact that you had to take it, but go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. So what are 3 things you want our audience to get from you guys today and take from this interview we had with you guys today?
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, no pressure. But you guys had a lot of different things. I mean, that was just so many great things. I just wanted to be like, okay, boom, 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 this.
I would say that the biggest thing for me is really going back to being an agent, considering being with a Black brokerage. I think that is so important. I actually kind of get offended sometimes. I get offended because at least give me the opportunity, or give us the opportunity and interview us. Right? You know, you're with the Black brokerage. Give the opportunity to at least come tour, sit down, talk with us. And when I get feedback, and when I see certain people and I ask the question, well, what made you go with them or whatever? And then they'll have this misconception of, well, like one thing I heard was like, you guys don't use like dot loop or not up on technology.
That's relevant.
I am the technology like queen, like I want things that are going to make me simpler, more efficient, faster. And so I'm always learning. I'm big on education and bringing that information back to our agents and getting the latest in what's out there and offerings to our agents. Now, if the agents don't use it, that's on them. But they can never say that they didn't have access or we didn't know about the product. We have products and stuff that no one else or larger scale companies, not even in Ohio, are doing, that we have brought back to our agents. Being able to offer cash to our sellers, we'll buy the house, programming like that, whereas, you know, other brokers can't offer that. So at least, even if you don't go there, I would say, no matter where you're at least taking a moment and interviewing a Black owned real estate brokerage before making that final decision.
Absolutely.
I would say. And then also, outside of just real estate, consider supporting Black owned businesses. It's it's one thing to say I support Black owned businesses. It's another thing when you actually spend dollars right now.
That's
right.
Good.
So we always try to think of ways when we have the networking event. You know, we try to have it a Black-owned business. When we're buying gift baskets for clients, trying to also incorporate, like I'm sitting here looking on the other side of this camera at bottles of wine. And I'm like, oh, I have to buy some wine because we put these in our clients' basket and different things like that. So
you want us, guys.
Yeah, my 3 things. Definitely number 1, support Black business. It doesn't even have to be real estate. You know, just support Black business. The second thing is, you know, purchase real estate, whether it's your first home or anything, purchase real estate. And then 3 is understand that real estate is generational wealth. We don't talk enough about that. a lot of people use that word nowadays,
yes,
but they don't understand what it means.
Right.
So, how we spoke on, don't sell grandma's house, keep it and let it be passed down. It can create wealth over and over and over again. So, just understand generational wealth and start tapping into generational wealth. And that starts with the purchase of your own home. So support black business, purchase real estate, whether it be your own home, and understand and start tapping into generational wealth.
That's all great. Three things right there. And this is the question I've been presenting to everyone, so you guys get a chance to answer this question. So what legacy do you want Brick House Realty to offer the community as a whole? Like, because you guys, once again, you guys offer so many great things, but what's the legacy that you guys want to leave behind? Not just the Cleveland, just overall.
My biggest thing is I believe that we're cycle breakers.
That's good.
And that's what I'm big on. I at one point in time, just speaking within our family, I had referred to myself as a sacrificial lamb. So, I basically want to be remembered in our business, in our community, as cycle breakers. We broke, traditions, as far as negative traditions and things like that. We broke the chains, we broke the negative cycles, and we helped that within our community, within educating our people, within our people growing and whatnot. And I just, I want to be remembered as that, so,
That's good.
whether it be families and whatnot, how you tell stories or whatever, and this is that. I want, it to be, no, you know what, those people there, they helped me get these houses. They helped me realize that I had to pass these on to you, and so on and so on. So I just want to be remembered as a cycle breaker.
And not just so that's the crazy thing about when we talk about agents too. You can talk to our agents in our office, and the same things that we want to be rich, right? Rich, right?
Filthy.
Right. But first, let me say it's okay to say that. A lot of times they want you to treat wanting money and earning money as kind of like this dirty word. But we also want to see our agents successful in the business, owning real estate. Brokers aren't telling their agents to also own real estate and invest in the very thing that you sell. If they were, we would see there's so many agents that don't even own the home that they live in, right? So we want something totally different, and within the brokerage, we want us all to step out and be successful. So when people come out like, yeah, you see those agents over at Brick House, they doing it over there. So.
And shout out to Silk and shout out to Victoria, you know what I'm saying? I talk to them and they tell me, like I say, it was you and Julius, you know what I'm saying? So respect to y'all, you know what I'm saying? But every time I talk, they speak so highly of Brick House Realty, so shout out to y'all and whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it just how I spoke on that earlier as far as us having bad traditions and just, doing sayings and whatnot. So people, how they speak on, no, I want a house because, that type of thing. Like she said, it's okay to say I want to be rich. Like I want to be filthy rich, and it's okay. So a lot of times we get caught and get complacent in a habit by saying, I'm okay just being comfortable, or I just want to be able to pay my bills and take vacations, or I just want to be able to buy my kids what they want. No, it's okay to say, I want to be filthy rich.
Right.
But next,
Disgusting.
it's about on educating ourselves and our community on how to do so.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me. It's about the education piece. And a lot of people couldn't tell you right now, what would you do to be, I'll give you an example. I know you probably all saw this on social media. It's a question that's going around. I've been going around like 3-4 years. Say, which one would you choose? A, an 800 credit score. B, $4,000 a week for life. Or C, $2 million cash right now. And I see some of the biggest idiots say 800 credit score, right? And if I get $2 million cash right now, I can get me an 800 credit score.
Right.
I have plenty of cash left over. If I get $4,000 a week for life, I can get me an 800 credit score and plenty of cash left over. So that's just that education piece, because we have such little education when it comes to financial literacy. And we think 800 is so far away and not attainable that we say 800 credit score.
Right.
And like that's obviously the wrong answer. For most people, $4,000 a week for the rest of your life is the best answer for most people. A lot of people say $2 million a day, and then they say, because I invest that. And that's one of the biggest things I hate to see when people say online, they say, I'll invest. That's such a broad
You're not
word.
investing how.
Like you invest how? They can't tell you how.
Right.
And then they say like a bland thing when people say invest in what? Real estate. Like what does that mean?
Right.
So that's why I say it's really about that education piece and getting it. Like what? Invest in stocks. Like what stocks? Like
Right.
So I even tell her it's so many stock gurus like on Instagram that they can tell you the obvious: invest in Apple, invest in Tesla.
Right.
Duh. Why you didn't tell me that 10 years ago? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
I can tell you those same things. Like, I'm no stock guru. I'm doing okay in it. But it's they tell you the obvious, but they can never tell you beforehand of what to invest in. So it's that's just such a bland answer. So we really just want everybody to get that education as far as like what to do with money, how to become rich, how to become wealthy. And like I said, it's okay to talk about it, but let's stop being complacent and saying like, I just want to be comfortable. No, I want to be rich. I want to be filthy rich. But what does that entail? That entails me purchasing the assets to pay for those liabilities. Like, I don't knock people. Like, we watch a lot of people ride around in this car, Mercedes Benz or this, that, and the house don't match the car, or the upbringing of your kids' clothes don't match the car. And that's such an off balance there. But the thing, it's okay. You can drive Bentleys, Rolls Royce trucks, whatever you want. Let's just create the assets to pay for those liabilities. Let's stop breaking our back, slaving 9 to 5, pretending like we rich. It's okay to be rich. It's okay to want those things. I commend Jay-Z, Beyonce, and whoever else in it. Like, buy the world. I don't care. Like, buy what you want to buy, but you have created the lanes to pay for that.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to be that way.
Absolutely.
One last thing. I know we talked a lot about investing in real estate, and for a large group of people, it may be a couple years before they can reach that point because of credit or savings challenges. One of the things that they want to really think about doing is investing in maybe like a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and you can buy some of those as $40, you know, buying a share of those. So there's ways that you can invest in real estate without necessarily actually buying the house for now. So you can definitely get started. We're all pretty much in a position. There's another company where you can invest as little as $10. I don't know if the name of it is escaping me for the moment, but as little as $10 is like a crowd sharing platform in there. So there's ways that you can invest. So don't get caught up like, well, I don't have, you know, the money or the credit, or it's going to be 2 or 3 years down the line before you can do that, because there's definitely ways to get it done.
No, listen, that's one thing I love about real estate, because no matter where you are in life, there's no excuse why you can't try to get a piece of it. And like you said, in today's age, like, it's becoming increasingly more evident. More people are getting hit to real estate, and it's about time that we the people get to where our counterparts are. And there's no reason why we can't.
Absolutely.
You know?
Let me reiterate this too, because I got off your question earlier when
No, you good.
So the Cleveland market is the real estate market as a whole will crash again eventually. Cleveland, a couple places like it, Cleveland, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis are similar as far as the real estate goes. And it will happen again. So I encourage folks to get ready. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. They said once COVID let down, it's not going to happen again. But like, we have a tradition in this country, like a 20-year cycle. So it's going to crash again. I always hear people say, man, if I would have, I encourage you, get in front of the train this time. Be ready, you know, get your credit right, get your savings going, and beyond any of that, get your education level ready. But what's going to happen is, I had this conversation with people frequently. If you notice, Bill Gates is buying up as much land as he can.
Farmland, so crazy.
And what people can't understand is they're not making no more land.
Exactly.
And like, we just went to LA for her birthday last month. And you know, how I'll just use something familiar that everybody can relate to. You watch the movie Friday, like the house that they shot Friday in, that house is worth, well, the cost of it is like $1.5 million. It's in the middle of the hood. So you can't fathom, how can people afford that, $1.5 million? Well, they can't afford it. The house ain't for sale.
Right.
Those houses aren't selling. What happened in California is going to happen in Cleveland and everywhere else. What happened a long time ago, a bunch of real estate investors bought up the whole city of Los Angeles and the whole state of California. They bought it up with a purpose and intention. The intention was to own it forever and dictate the rental prices. So what they did was they purchased all the real estate. And yeah, if you entertain, you want to buy this house that was in Friday from me, give me $1.5 million. Well, you're going to say, I can't afford that, and I would never pay you $1.5 million to live in the hood. And they say, okay, give me $3,500 a month. Well, there's a trade-off.
Right.
You might be able to afford $3,500 a month, but that's how I dictate the real estate prices. So it's not that it's so expensive to live in California. It's the investors created it expensive to live in California.
That's what's going to happen here.
It's going to happen in Cleveland.
It's going to happen here So this is the point of what we're trying to say, why we have to start investing in our own backyard, specifically the black community, right? Because you talk about gentrification, and that's why this happened. So what's happening, there was even an article a couple months back that came out for Cleveland. Out-of-state investors are buying in record numbers here in the Cleveland market. What he's talking about happened in California, that's exactly what happened. Investors came in. So what happens, outside investors, if they come in and start buying up all of the inventory and real estate here in the Cleveland market, they dictate how much the sale prices are and the rental amounts on there. And you won't have an option but to pay these higher rents.
Absolutely.
If that's going to happen, let us benefit from that.
Yeah.
Why let
Let
these
us grow
people
from it.
come in? Right? Let us control that and make money off of it instead of letting these outsiders out in Australia, from Israel, from China come in and buy this inventory up because they dictate how we live, the conditions of the property. When you talk about these bad conditions and you don't want to live in, you have a we go on a whole nother tangent, but this is a problem that's going on. There's a lot of people with housing vouchers that are out there that are living in poor condition of houses in fear of saying anything about it because there's such little inventory, especially if you have housing vouchers, that they feel that they just have to deal with it. I'm talking roaches, and I'm talking rats, and I'm talking about just the overall condition of the property is not where someone should have to live, especially if you have kids. And so they're dictating that, and we're allowing that. So it's so important for us to be in control of this and buying the inventory in our own backyard.
I mean, me and Julius had a conversation like a week ago. We're talking about gentrification, and it's only bad when you're not involved in it. That's about it. He said, can you take for instance,
You need it to happen.
You need it to happen, right? 105. We're talking about these are hood areas that we known for. We talking about Ashbury. I remember back in the day, you couldn't walk down Ashbury without any problem. Now I seen a Chinese kid with a trombone walking down Ashbury like it was nothing, right? And we're talking about how these houses that once again were condemned, all these conditions and whatnot. Investors coming in, buying it up, and what they're doing, they're putting college kids in it, and they're raising the property value up, so people who've been living there for 30+ odd years,
can't afford it.
they're not gonna be able to afford it.
Yeah.
We can only see it at this micro level, right? So we're not really we're just like, oh man, they just coming in here. We're not really paying attention to this, that how it's growing. It may be 5 years from now, it may be 10 years from now, but you want to be. It is absolutely happening.
No, and like you said, it's time we get in the forefront of it versus just letting it happen to us and then complaining about it later. Because I think we have a bad habit of doing that, guys. And
it's coming here and it's coming bad. Give you an example: the same house in Maple Heights that was $800 5 years ago is now $1,200 a month for rent.
we're not talking about amenities added to it, nothing like that. We're talking about same conditions, prices going up and whatnot. And I tell my clients all the time, like, if you thinking rent is high, I can guarantee I get your mortgage to be less than what you're paying in rent.
Absolutely.
And you can build up equity, you can build up appreciation, you can do all these things that are going to help you in the long run. But like I said, come back to the mindset thing. And it's about time we change the mindset. So you guys, get an agent for Brick House Realty today, you know what I'm saying, to help you with that mindset or whatnot. So, okay, let me ask you this. What if the people want to get in touch with y'all, how can they get in touch with you guys?
Well, they can for sure follow us on Facebook, Brick House Realty. On Instagram, I am she's_a_brickhouse.
And just follow me on Instagram, that's it. You can follow me at brickhouse.mark, M-A-R-K.
Stuff, guys.
You got some bills to pay, right?
I do have to pay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, we want to first and foremost want to thank Two You Wines, Lord. Gee, I'm saying Two
I'm
House.
telling a kid now.
Two You Wines, guys. The best wine in the city, I'm going to say it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to say it, guys. Black owned, Lord Jesus, wine company that is giving you spectacular wine at great prices and whatnot. And not only that, she is a co-host in the show. So, I mean, I'm being biased, but that's just me.
It's good, y'all. I promise.
We're going to prove it. We're going to open a bottle right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to buy one and open one right
I'm
now.
telling you. They're not gonna be disappointed.
Right. And also,
I see the mango moscato is like calling my
Yes.
name.
oh yeah,
Let's
no,
do it.
definitely.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's gonna get you lit.
And her red wine is really good too, and I don't even like red wine. So that's
Really?
Yeah, and 14% alcohol on top of that, so you're guaranteed to get lit. So I'm going to just put it out there. Also, guys, we want to once again thank you guys for watching every week. We are at 4,000 subscribers, and we average around 2,000 views every episode. So once again, I want to thank you guys for coming out every week and seeing the great entrepreneur that our city has to offer. Because clearly, should just not be known for these things, but also the entrepreneurs who are in the city. So I want to thank you guys for once again. If you're in California, New York, but you guys still tune in to see what our city has offered. Thank you once again.
And then in Cleveland, you got an event coming up, don't they?
Thank you. So, yes, guys. This is episode 48, but we are countdown to episode 50. 50 episodes. I want you guys to think about the consistency it takes to get to 50 episodes. That's not an easy feat, and to get 50 guests to come on every week, I don't think that's not an easy thing to do. So we want to celebrate that. And thank you guys for coming out and celebrate with us. You know what I'm saying? 50 episodes is not an easy thing, and we want you guys to mingle, network, show off what you got with your business, or maybe you just want to just pick the brains of the people who've been on the podcast thus far. Come on through; they'll be there. We will be at the Oak Room in Tower City, May 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. or whatnot. Once again, 2 U1s will be served. We have hors d'oeuvres because we're fancy like that, and it's going to be a good time, guys. Just get a chance to see us do what we do best. If you guys are watching every week, there's no reason why you can't see us live in person. That will be May 6th. This Friday coming up, actually, 6 to 8. And then also, guys, Beneficial Bay is having her business shower. No offense to baby showers, keep having babies. But what we're doing in 2022, we're having shower for businesses now. And the Beneficial Bay is having one at her new office that she's having, guys. It's going to be good. We'll be there. And she'll have a registry. Check out in her link tree today to register today and be there, because we'll be there also. And then last but not least, we are having an event for 10 entrepreneurs, June 18th, right before Juneteenth itself. And we're going to showcase the amazing young entrepreneurs in our city. And one day we're going to take just educating them on how to pitch their businesses, which Coach already does, by the way. And we're also going to show them how to just overall showcase the business as a whole. And then in the very next day, we're going to be at Tower City, just showcasing the many awesome entrepreneurs that our city has to offer who are young and just starting out. So come out, support that. And I think I got I'm sorry, Social Master.
Yep, so you got one more.
Thank you. Social Master, guys. Guys, like we said earlier in the interview, one thing that agents, we have tons of business cards. Stop wasting paper, okay? Think about our environment as a whole. Social Master, you can have your own digital card with you that has a QR code. People scan it with their phone, or maybe they have one of those components in their phone that once you tap it, it comes right up. That's everything from your Cash App to your social media to your personal phone number that they can just decide what they want, and voila, they have all your information and whatnot. Save on time, save on money, and just save all the way around. And then once again, you guys are supporting a great business who is partnered with us. So thank you guys. I don't have anything else.
I think you're good.
Them good? Okay, did I get them all? And we want to thank the Wilsons for coming out today and telling us their amazing story and just remind us that it's possible. You know what I'm saying? They did it. You can do it too. Whatnot. Whatever business you are in, guys. And I think we're doing good. Episode 48, y'all. Road to 50 on its way. And we want to thank you guys once again for coming out every week. We want to thank Coach Ari for guest hosts and filling in for Ray Charles and whatnot.
Wow.
And,
so when she's taking shots at him like the next 10 episodes, y'all see why.
Hey, it's cool. It's cool. What we do best and whatnot. So we'll thank you guys again, and we'll see you guys next week. See y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That was dope. Oh yeah. Okay. Look, an hour and 12 minutes. We did good, y'all. We did awesome. Thank you guys again.
I didn't die, probably.
Yeah, that do good. I think I did all right.